Today we discuss about the good person and a good story. Room of one's own. Yes, author is uh, happy to say once he was lived with us. I mean, in this, our world, human bodies will be vanished, but their, what they were did to this world, what they wrote, what they, next, everything is going to be recognizable. Here is Mr. Virginia Woolf, not Woolf. Virginia Woolf was born in London on 26 January in 1882, the year in which James Joyce and Dorothy Richardson were also born. And Virginia Woolf, she was the younger daughter of the Sir Leslie Stephen, a great critic and scholar and philosopher and thinker, mountaineer and rationalist, biographer, essayist and editor. Wow. A late Victorian celebrity whose library was meeting place of the most cultured society of the day. Among them, among whom John Morley and Meredith was memorable figures. She had inherited most of her father's tastes. Virginia Woolf's mother, Julia Duckworth, was connected with the famous Princep family and was herself a writer in her days. Reading was to a wolf a matter of the entertainment and learning as well as relaxation and fertility. The atmosphere of the old house throbbed with the intellectual and enlightened discussions. She was, as long as her great father lived, his library assistant, and in her youth she was his intimate literary associate. Being tender in health, she was also repeating, being tender in health. She was educated at home. Greek and music were her fascination. As on Whiter says, in fact, from her very beginning, she could inherit the best the Victorian culture had to. Greek and music were her fascination. As on writer says, in fact, from the very beginning, she could inherit it because the Victorian culture had to offer to people with adequate leisure and reasonable wealth. After her father's death, she shared a house in Bloomsbury with her sister. In 1912, she married Leonard Woolf. She wrote much on economic subjects and was later to become literary edition of the Nation. Thereafter, she plunged into politics, especially the feminist movement. She took practical interest in her husband's Hogarth Press, which was an establishment for the publication of the best works of rising poets and novelists. It became a flourishing institution in addition to publishing the early writings of T.S. Eliot and Foster, Mrs. Woolf's own work. The press ultimately brought out in England's bulk of Sigmund Freud's. Sigmund Freud, do you know already? He is a great psychologist ever in this world. Writers admirable translations. Virginia Woolf became a regular contributor to the Times literary supplement. Her discerning criticism, literary valuation both in her talk and her literary composition, commanded a respectful demand for the elite and enlightened people of the day. The rarefied intellectual and cultural atmosphere in which she lived in Bloomsbury House, and for her social, the economic, social society, her society, the nickname of the Bloomsbury Group, a term often used in this fragment of the high level of artistic and cultural life she and her friends lived. Little understood by common people which consider them as the highbrows. Her first attempt to command the common readers were made in 1915 when she came out with her first novel, The Woe Is Out, followed in 1919 by Day and Night and Day. These novels were more or less in traditional form of the Victorian novel in the style of Jane Austen and Meredith. Both are interesting representation of the life she knew, but they lack any particular powers of observation of life and manners in genre. Then she proceeded to try a new method, new lifestyle with her next lover, Jacob's Room, in the manners introduced by James Joyce in his Ulysses and readily taken up by Dorothy Richardson. Instead of the concentrating on incidents and characters and telling a continuous narrative, she dived deep into the stream of consciousness and presented what has been called interior monologue. She was one of of the most gifted and innovative of the stream and consciousness novelists. She carried on several experiments in the line in her successive novels. Mrs. Dalloway is 1925, To the Lighthouse 1927, Orlando 1928, and The Waves 1931. But in the years 1937, she reverted to the tradition from the novel of the characters and incidents. Perhaps because she thought that she had done what she could by way of the presenting the written language the subtle and complicated working of the human consciousness. She was not only preoccupied with novel writing all these years, literary sketches, short stories, biographies, critical essays appeared at intervals all through these years. Among these may be mentioned Monday and Tuesday is 1923, Mrs. Bennett and Mrs. Brown. 1924, The Common Reader, first series, 1932, Flash a Biography, 1933, Three Guineas, 1938, Between the Acts, 1941, her last novel, A Brilliant Stylist, Mrs. Woolf, filled four valence of criticism, literary. Preoccupations, tree noise, and intellectual life affected her health, which had never been sound since her youth. She became nervous and brooding. She was afraid the might turn insane. The destruction of her Bloomsbury home by the bombing of the enemy during the war and the ravages caused around her new home told on her nervous 1941. One morning she had gone out to take her usual bath in the river OUSC was near her home. She never came back. It is believed that she drowned herself out of sheer nervous exhaustion. Sad ending, right? That's very, very sad about this one. About a great lady, a great writer, a great novelist, actually like this death, we can't expect it. So, let's begin with the chapter 1. So guys, let's go for this next video. Please watch it, and we are going to, you know what, we will start for next one, and about her you know the room of one's own. So it will be chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, like this. It's an English literature base, and subscribe me and watch it. Thank you.